They say the desert keeps secrets buried deep beneath the shifting sands and the scorching sun, but some secrets refuse to stay buried. They whisper on the wind, stories of ghosts and gold, of deals made in desperation under the cold, uncaring eyes of 1,000 stars. Tonight, we're re-riding into one of those stories, a tale of a man named Silas Silver-Tongue Kane, a gunslinger whose greed was as vast and as empty as the desert itself. The West was a harsh place, a land that forged men from iron or broke them into dust. Silas Kane was a man forged from something else entirely. Ambition. He wasn't the fastest draw, nor the strongest rider, but his words were like honeyed poison. He could talk a man out of his last dollar, his horse, his very name. But Silas wanted more than just small-time cons. He craved a fortune that would make kings jealous, a legacy written in gold. His journey led him deep into the arid heart of the Badlands, a place most folks were smart enough to avoid. He was chasing whispers of a lost Spanish treasure, a motherlode so rich it was said to be cursed. Days turned into weeks. His water ran low, his horse grew weak, and the sun beat down on him like a hammer on an anvil. Delirium began to set in. The shimmering heat waves twisted into strange, dancing figures on the horizon. One night, as the moon cast long, skeletal shadows across the dunes, Silas collapsed, parched and defeated. He cursed the heavens, the earth, and his own foolish pride. He cried out into the oppressive silence that he would give anything at all for a taste of that legendary gold. And the silence answered. A voice, dry as sun-bleached bone, slithered into his mind. It wasn't a sound he heard with his ears, but a thought that coiled around his soul. It promised him not just a taste, but an endless river of gold. All he had to do was find it, and it would be his. The price? A trifle. Just his soul. In his desperate state, the deal sounded like a bargain. What good was a soul in a land that had none? Silas agreed without a second thought. As the word yes formed on his cracked lips, a sudden, unnatural chill swept over the desert. The stars seemed to dim, and a single, unnaturally bright star flared to life directly above him, pointing the way. With a renewed, feverish energy, Silas followed the star. It led him for another day and a night, until he stumbled upon a narrow, hidden canyon he'd missed a dozen times before. And there, glittering in a shallow cave, was a sight that stole his breath. Gold, not just nuggets or dust, but veins of pure, gleaming gold running through the rock like frozen lightning. It was more than he had ever imagined. He laughed, a ragged, broken sound that echoed off the canyon walls. He ran his hands over the cool metal, stuffing his pockets, his saddlebags, his shirt, until he could carry no more. He was rich. He had won. But as he turned to leave, a strange thing happened. The gold in his hands felt wrong. It was heavy, yes, but it was also cold. Not the natural coolness of metal, but a deep, biting cold that seeped into his bones. He looked down at his palms and saw them changing. His skin was flaking away, replaced by a metallic, golden sheen. Panic seized him. He tried to drop the gold, but it clung to him, merging with his flesh. The transformation was agonizingly slow. His fingers fused together, his arms hardened into solid gold, his legs became gilded statues. He tried to scream, but his voice was a strangled, metallic rasp. The curse was not in the gold itself, but in the desire for it. The deal was never about finding the treasure, it was about becoming it. The last thing Silas Kane saw before his vision was entirely obscured by a golden film was the desert stretching out before him, indifferent and eternal. His heart, now a lump of solid, precious metal, gave one final, silent beat. They say his golden statue still stands in that hidden canyon, a grim warning to those who would trade their humanity for wealth. Some prospectors claim to have seen it, a lone figure gleaming under the moonlight, forever reaching for a freedom it can never grasp. They say that on the quietest nights, if you listen closely to the wind whistling through the rocks, you can still hear a faint, metallic whisper, the sound of a soul trapped in its own gilded cage. The legend of Silas Kane serves as a stark reminder. The West was full of opportunities, But it was also full of temptations, and in the pursuit of earthly treasures, it's all too easy to lose the one thing that is truly priceless: yourself. The desert doesn't care about your gold or your ambition. It only cares about the stories it collects and the lessons it teaches to those who are willing to listen. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the dark heart of the Old West. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more tales from the frontier, and ring that bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, ride safe and watch what deals you make in the dark.